I'm so sorry, my people. I spoke too long and then we had to, yeah, anyway, we were on methods. Cite active voice, you start with your explicit study design. You're going to describe your study setting, you're going to describe your data source, you're going to describe your time frame, then full stop, and then you start talking about the inclusion criteria, the sampling method, my sampling strategy, then the sample size calculation if you're conducting quantitative. If it's qualitative, still the sampling method. That's key, it's needed. And then you can talk about your data management, right? You don't just throw in mentioning the softwares you've used, you actually describe the data management, right? So that's that on your methods. On your results, you start with the 3 key findings of these results, and you write your core results. Core results means you don't write absolute numbers or percentages. You write a percentage with numerator and denominator in how you present your results. Must be like that, because it's misleading if they are not denominators. Percentages must be shown as well as your numerator and denominator. You need to include the odds ratios if this is quantitative, right? You need to include your odds ratios or your measures of association. Doesn't matter which one you use, whether risk ratios, prevalence ratio, whatever that is. Your p-values, your confidence interval, your trends. You need to make sure you present core findings, like holistic overall findings for the results you're thinking. On an abstract, you don't have to report everything you've done or all the results. Pick the 3 main results for the abstract. Try to pick the 3 main results. You can talk about the response rate of your thingy or your sampling. Remember, you extracted this number of records, you ended up enrolling this number of records. Or if it's qualitative, or you went out to conduct interviews, you invited this number of people, only this number of people consented and enrolled in your study. The response rate must be shown either way. And then you're gonna go on your primary analysis and secondary analysis. We don't usually put in figures or tables. There's some conferences that would allow that, but as standard, you don't put in figures or tables. You need to be able to describe those. The first sentence on your results, it talks to this descriptive analysis or the social demographic characteristics of the participants you're studying. It's standard before you go to presenting the actual results. Conclusion is more of a broader, I did talk about it, that you are answering. Your aim now is a broader interpretation of your entire results. What does it mean? And the public health implications of your study, particularly in the context of your results. What does this imply in the broader public health space? And the next steps, the so what? What are the future research questions that needs to be considered using these results? No repetition of results. You don't repeat the results at all, or you don't even present new findings that you didn't present in your results. A conclusion is concluding based on what you presented on your results. And you're going to give us the recommendations as well, again drawn from your results. Your study or your results shows this and that, therefore this is what is being recommended. And in conclusion, no matter recommendations are, they must be targeted, they must be specific, they can't be generic. We can't say you recommend the babies to be immunized. What babies, which babies, what age, in what area, who must immunize? Yeah. So if that's a recommendation, you can say you're recommending babies in South Africa less than 2, or babies at 9 months to get the rotavirus in the Southwest District of Limpopo, something like that. You need to be explicit and specific. Our results are, our recommendations are, they must, when a person read that paper or the article, we need to know exactly who you're talking to, who has to take an action, how the action must be taken, by when. You need to make sure the recommendations are really targeted. So that's basically that on the abstract. So sometimes we write abstracts for protocols. If the study has not yet been conducted, it's still at the protocol stage, but we write results for. We are doing that sometimes. So for a protocol, we're going to have an introduction, as we spoke about, the methods, then impact instead of results, because you do not have results, and then conclusion. That's a difference. I'm not going to talk intro and methods because we spoke about them already on part 1. For a protocol abstract, impact talks to what is the potential impact this study that you are conducting is expected to achieve. You're going to break down that briefly. In conclusion, broader interpretation again of this particular impact or the potential impact that you're hoping to achieve in the next steps, and. So that's the difference. Okay. If you haven't conducted the study, your abstract will have impact and conclusion. If you have already conducted your study, your abstract is going to have your results and conclusion. But either way, across board, whether you conducted it or not, intro and methods remains. What's going to differ is the results. In case you did not conduct a study, you're going to be writing your impact. But otherwise, it's MRED, intro, methods, results, and conclusions. And I hope it makes sense. I hope when we read your abstracts, we're going to be impressed and people will write what they know and they'll be concise, smart. Every sentence, smart, must be concise, must be to the point, must be strong. You're using active voice. You don't become wordy. You use few words. In short sentences, one idea at the time. Maybe we should talk about all scientific writing, altogether. But I hope it makes sense, guys. All the best. I know we're writing abstracts. It's in the beginning of the year. Most of the conferences, others have already closed. Others are closing soon. All the best. Write those abstracts. If you write it thoroughly and properly, then you're eliminating the back and forth with your reviewers and your supervisors. So try to write it properly. Maybe I should give you an example of an excellent abstract, which will be mine. And there's a lot of excellent abstracts out there. Maybe I should actually drop one of those for you to see, particularly for qualitative and quantitative. I'll think about that. Good night.